Imagine discovering a human species that was completely erased from our textbooks, not because it didn't exist, but because we didn't know where to put it. Not Neanderthal, not sapiens, not erectus. Yet, somehow, part of all of them. Meet Homo Bodoensis, humanity's forgotten cousin. A puzzle piece lost for 600,000 years, until now. He might have been your ancestor, or your evolutionary neighbor, or the missing chapter in your DNA. Welcome to 5 Minutes of Culture, and today we dive into one of the most mysterious, controversial, and revealing episodes in our ancestral story. Let's get one thing straight. Our evolutionary journey isn't a ladder. It's a wild, branching bush, tangled, overlapping, and often confusing. For decades, scientists asked the same burning question: who exactly lived between Homo erectus and Homo sapiens? In the Middle Pleistocene, between 770,000 and 130,000 years ago, evolution got chaotic. Different populations evolved, migrated, and sometimes disappeared. Fossils from this era were so ambiguous that many were tossed into a vague drawer labeled archaic humans. But something was off. In 1976, in the scorching Afar region of Ethiopia, archaeologists unearthed a skull. Big, thick, ancient, but strangely modern. It didn't fit. They called it Bodo Man. For nearly 50 years, no one knew what to make of him. Was he Homo erectus? Too advanced. Was he Homo sapiens? Not quite. Was he Homo heidelbergensis? Possibly. But even that label was a mess. And then, in 2021, everything changed. A bold proposal, a new name, and a revolutionary idea that could reshape the way we see our origins. Late 2021. A team of paleoanthropologists proposed something radical. Let's stop using confusing colonial-era names like Homo heidelbergensis and Homo rhodesiensis and give these African fossils their own name, Homo Bodoensis. It wasn't just a rebranding. It was a scientific realignment, because heidelbergensis had become a junk drawer, a taxonomic chaos used for fossils found across Europe, Africa, and even Asia. But these populations weren't the same. They were evolving in different directions. Europe's archaic humans became Neanderthals. Asia's gave rise to the elusive Denisovans. But Africa, that lineage, became us. Homo Bodoensis clarifies this branch. He lived around 500,000 years ago, with a brain size of over 1,200 cubic centimeters, comfortably in the modern range. He had a massive brow ridge, a sloping forehead, and no chin. Primitive on the outside, but neurologically very close to us. And now the big question: was Homo Bodoensis your ancestor? Or just another evolutionary ghost? Quick note, only 1% of viewers subscribe. If you've made it this far, you're clearly the curious type. Why not unlock more forgotten species, ancient mysteries, and mind-bending history? Hit subscribe, because this is just the beginning. Let's unpack what makes Homo Bodoensis unique. First, location. Most fossils from this period came from Europe or Asia, but Bodoensis is purely African, placing him at the very root of the Homo sapiens lineage. Second, timing. He appears during a crucial fork in evolutionary history, the point when ancient humans were splitting into separate species. Third, morphology. His skull blends features from both archaic and modern humans. He's not as robust as Neanderthals, but not as gracile as us. He might be the missing link, not between apes and humans, but between early and modern humans. And here's the twist. We only have one skull, a few scattered bones, and a mountain of unanswered questions. But what happened to him? Did he die out? Was he absorbed into early Homo sapiens? Or is his legacy still hiding in your genes? But the Bodo skull also has a secret, a chilling one. Look closely, and you'll find cut marks, etched by stone tools around the eyes, the cheeks, and the forehead. This wasn't accidental. It was intentional. Precise, but Why? Was it a ritual defleshing, cannibalism, or something more symbolic? Some researchers believe it's one of the earliest signs of mortuary behavior, evidence that even before fire, before language, before art, there may have been ideas about death. Think about that. 600,000 years ago, long before civilization, someone stood over a dead body and made deliberate incisions. Not to eat, but to mean something. That's not survival. That's culture. Was this the first funeral in human history? Or the first murder mystery? Let's dive into their world. Dawn breaks over the savannah. A family group stirs in the grasslands of ancient Ethiopia. Homo Bodoensis wakes not to an alarm clock, but to the growl of distant predators and the chatter of birds. The air is thick with tension and scent. Survival depends on awareness. The tools, simple hand axes and scrapers. Not delicate, but effective. They hunt, scavenge, and process meat with stone tools. Children watch and learn, mimicking the motions of their elders. There's no language as we know it, but communication thrives through gestures, grunts, and gazes. Bonds are tight. Trust means life. And at dusk, when the hunt ends and danger retreats into shadow, they sit. Quiet. Watching the stars appear, the same stars you and I see. Were they curious? Did they wonder? Did they feel? The answers vanish with the wind, but their presence lingers. If Homo Bodoensis is so important, why isn't he in your school books? Easy. He's too new. The name was proposed in October 2021, and it takes years for academia, and even longer for textbooks, to catch up. Plus, not everyone agrees. Some say, we're just creating more confusion. Others reply, no, we're finally making sense of the past. And here's the kicker. If Homo Bodoensis is real, if the African lineage is clearer than ever, then everything we thought about how Homo sapiens emerged must be reconsidered. So let's return to that skull, unearthed in 1976 in Ethiopia. Heavy, ancient, misunderstood, but now with a name, a place, a potential legacy. Whether or not the name survives, Homo Bodoensis represents a turning point, a glimpse into a time when humans were becoming us. Next time someone asks where you're from, don't just say your country. Say a continent, say a lineage, say a story that began 600,000 years ago. Because before history, before gods and kings, before pyramids or cave paintings, there was a human, walking through the savannah, strong, silent, ancient. And maybe, just maybe, you carry his story in your bones. This was 5 Minutes Culture. If this made you think differently about who you are, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to know. The past is never dead. It's not even past. See you next time.